We can predict with some certainty that our students will be graduating into a world that is based on a new knowledge economy. They will require facility with a complex set of skills to deconstruct, construct, co-construct, and reconstruct meaning efficiently and effectively. This high level of literacy is the new criterion for success. Students will require an education that has a solid foundation on basic literacy and numeracy skills, but also supports deep thinking and action. An education that values and understands the human condition. This is about a type of education that prepares students to survive and thrive in the 21st century and to make positive and lasting contributions to their world. How can we, as 21st century educators, provide our students with the education they need? Dr. Alan Luke gives us insight into the new basics. But first, Dr. Asa Hillard shares some thoughts.
Sometime at the beginning of last year, my dean told me that he wanted me to offer a new course at Georgia State University. And the reason for it was that I've drifted to a special program. More and more of my time has been occupied in something called the Urban Teacher Leadership Program, which meant that many of the doctoral students can't get into the classes that I teach. And so he said he wanted me to be more broadly exposed, get back to a wider audience. And so I have that class now, and it's a seminar, but it's up to 20 people, so I don't know how much of a seminar you can do with 20 people, especially 20 very bright, energetic doctoral students. The title of the course is Excellence in Urban Education. And I learned something about myself all the time, and what I learned by teaching this course was that I should have been teaching it for the past 20 years. That by having a course whose only purpose is to look at excellence that has already been achieved, then it puts things in a whole different perspective. And I learned because of what's happening to my students. We're in the 7th week, and I've watched their transition from being in the position that many of us are, where we are preoccupied with the excuses that pretend to explain why traditionally low-performing students are unable to reach excellence. And you could spend your life with those excuses. There is so much literature, it's absolutely impossible to look anywhere else. And they used to tell the joke about the person who was looking for a quarter over in this part of the room when they knew that they lost it over in this part of the room. And they asked him why. He said, because the light's better over here. Well, the light is better on the conversation where you explain that the families of children keep them from achieving, that the poverty keeps them from achieving, that their low IQs keep them from achieving, that their bilingual status keeps them from achieving, that lead paint keeps them from achieving, any number of things. And so you could be busy for the rest of your life doing nothing more than looking where the light is shining. Interestingly enough, if we only turn the spotlight over where we lost the quarter in the first place, the answers to all our problems are already there. So if you look at my pyramid of power, there's a whole host of people. Any one of those people, I could be here for the next few weeks talking about the kinds of gains they made. You know Shinichi Suzuki, I'm sure, in the upper left-hand corner, the one who teaches violin to young children and has written a book called Nurtured by Love. That's a word you don't hear much in staff development. Happens that that's one of the core values and practices and situations in staff development that makes learning powerful. Shinichi Suzuki would tell you he wanted to work with the ones that were not named as gifted. For example, you took your child to Suzuki and said, my child is gifted, so that's why I want him in your program. He so believed in the common genius of all children, he said, take your child home, we'll take the other ones, and raise their performance to levels of excellence. And they did that over a whole bunch of, that's why he's on the pyramid. The man in the center of the top rank is Dr. Abdulalim Shabazz, who is personally responsible for having, in a 6-year period, taught students in an open enrollment university well enough that they produced, for a university that had never really had more than a handful of master's students in math, 109 degrees in master degrees in mathematics. And from that population of 109 students came, and from their students, over half of the blacks in America who have the PhD in mathematics out of that teacher. Half, outperforming the nation as a whole. When we got to the Academy of Sciences one time and they gave 30 awards for best teacher in mathematics, he got one. Jaime Escalante got one. And out of the 30, almost half of the 30 were his students who held a PhD in math, who had gone out and taught somebody else. So that it's not charisma, it's something else, and the something else is important. I'm talking about a low-tech answer to the problem. I'm not talking about buying a program. Ms. Terry Null didn't buy a program of any kind. Most of the programs don't work. Yeah. And if you buy them, you lock children into low performance. The human being is a learning machine. If you put them in the right conditions to be exposed to what you want them to know. And so therefore, we ought to set those standards.
What did David Olson teach us at OISE 20 years ago? He taught us that the onset of literacy is about distinguishing between what is said and what is meant. That understanding the difference between what a text appears to say and all of its motivations, intentions, etc., is what all of us figure out between 3 to 7 years old. It's a form of metalinguistic awareness that coincides with the onset of literacy. As soon as you understand that my aunt told me one thing, but she really meant, she said, you can't come over next week, I'm too busy, but she really meant, I don't want to see you. Or she gave me this gift, but she gave the other grandchildren another gift. As soon as you start looking behind statements towards intentions, you're engaged in a form of critical thinking. Is that? And children do it. This notion that children can't be critical is nonsense. If you've ever sat next to a 5-year-old watching commercials or going up and down the aisles of Captain Crunch. So when we wanted to sell critical literacy to Australia as a new competence, we certainly didn't tell them that we were on about teaching them that the state was an evil corporate empire and that we wanted to crack it. In fact, I think that some of the American versions of critical literacy have been a deterrent to that, the consciousness-raising models. What we wanted to tell them was that in this environment, if you aren't critical literacy, you're a sucker. If you don't have critical literacy, you're a sucker. You're going to wind up in debt. You're going to wind up on the streets. You're going to sign up with the first bank that offers you a crummy mortgage. You're going to wind up with a big Visa card. You're going to buy everything that's pushed your way. You know what I mean? That basically, it is a new basic. That you aren't going to be able to survive in this environment unless you can actually navigate through this sea of text that you're trying to work through, that's trying to position you and define you. So in the 4 resources model, what you'll find is a model of critical literacy that talks about who wrote this text, what are its purposes, what is it trying to do to me, what is said here. But the other thing that we got straight out of Jacques Derrida is what is missing from this text. Now, we've taught that to year 3s, to teacher trainees, to tens of thousands of kids in Australia. We teach them grammar, doing it. We've taught them that advertisements use imperatives and commands, okay? And that they can find discourses in texts, that the Omo soap powder is sold with scientific discourses, and that Toyota is now being sold with pro-green discourses. And the kids in high schools and primary schools in Australia actually can do that. We have them looking at classified ads, looking at the language there, looking at advertisements. So, don't wait for central office. The transformations in the curriculum that you can make with the pedagogic freedom that you have can be done right now in your local schools with just a little bit of imagination. Teachers say to me, well, how do I begin this? I say, look around your house at all of the print. You can teach a lesson around that traffic ticket. You can teach a lesson around that bank form using the 4 resources, asking them, what is it trying to do to me? What's missing from here? And what we got from Derrida is whose voices are omitted. What's missing from this text, okay? There's lots that they can do using these kind of pedagogic models. So these kinds of critical literacies are new basics, and they are really essential parts of anybody's education, and they're going to have to be parts of world citizenship, I think, because these messages and these texts cross borders. And you know what the kids say? And I've had teachers that we trained and lots of kids and even parents of kids approach me and say, boy, you have really screwed it up for me. I can't even walk down the aisle looking at cereals anymore without asking what that package is trying to do to me. Okay? And I've had parents approach us and say, we wish you'd quit teaching this stuff. Why? And I say, why? And because we can't have peace when we're watching a TV program without the kid arguing with the program. Okay? And it's that kind of cognitive skepticism. Is that you can wear all of De Bono's 6 thinking hats. No package is going to give you this. It's teachers adopting that kind of attitude. And for my indigenous kids, for my poor white kids, for those kids in the classroom, what am I going to say? Well, I'd better give them phonics, get them up to comprehension, take them through the classics, and then I can make them critical. That was immediately the kind of Piagetian, Kohlbergian developmentalism that stepped into the 4 resources. Okay, well, we'll get to the critical in high school, because we can do compare and contrast of, we've always done it, Shakespeare versus Wordsworth, the Royal Shakespeare Company's video versus, the text, the Rouse translation of the Odyssey versus, we've always done compare and contrast. That's not what we're on about here. We're on about very much building a different kind of a person, a skeptical person, and a person who can engage with the environment around them. And in so doing, I think Shirley Heath described this in ways with words. In so doing, you tune up their eyes and their ears to the world around them. What did I say the imperatives of the best teaching are? Heightening the intellectual demand and connectedness to the world. What's the first thing I would do with my year 1, 2, or 3 class? I would say, I want every one of you tonight to look for a piece of text around the house or in the community, and I want you to bring it into class tomorrow. And what's going to come in? Soup labels, traffic tickets. I've had to return checkbooks to parents, It's all going to come in. Newspapers, magazines. And what will we do? We're going to teach genre and critical literacy. I then say to the kids, let's now see how we can group these texts. Let's lay them out on the floor and group them. And the kids would try grouping them by color, and they'd sooner get around to group them by function. Is that it? And all the bureaucratic forms would go here, all the news items would go here, all the entertainment items go here. I'm into genre study. I can look at the text forms. I'm into multiliteracies. I can look at the visuals. Okay, plenty we can do with this stuff. Okay, good basic language experience, primary teaching. No magic about it.